We got a great treat for you today on the mini clinics. Coach Tom Clark, offensive coordinator at North Cobb High School, coaches teams always score a bunch of points, do a great job. He's talking to you about offensive game planning, kind of questions, things you can ask yourself as you prepare for your upcoming opponent. So should be a good one. Please be joined this time by the offensive coordinator at North Cobb, Coach Tom Clark. Coach, you guys, I'm telling you now, this is one of the best offensive coordinators in the state of Georgia. Always had a team prepared, always give defense a lot of trouble, Coach. So thank you first for joining me, and I'm excited to hear what you got to say. Thanks a lot, Coach.
All right, Chris, I appreciate you having me. Yeah, I've been blessed to be at North Cobb for a while now, going on 13 years. And, obviously we've had some really good players. We feel like we've been consistent in what we've done here in the past. So today I'm just going to talk about, how we game plan going into the week. I've got a few PowerPoints to show, and if you got any questions, just feel free to ask. Going forward, I'm going to kind of gear this towards the young coach. I know I'm going into my 29th year. I've been a coordinator for 24, and if I would have gotten to know some of this stuff early on, it would have helped me out. So, about probably 15, 18 years ago, once you do it a while, you kind of start figuring out how you want to go about game planning for the week. I kind of still do it old school. I'm not into the big, pretty PowerPoint computer type stuff. I still handwrite all my notes and game plan stuff. But this is kind of how we do it on a weekly basis. Going forward, I want to, give a shout out to my offensive coaches. This is how long they've been here with me. Myself, I've been here at North Cobb 13 years. My O-line coach, Robert Ingram, who does a great job, has been with us 7. Dante Sawyer, who coached here, who played here, and has been with me now for 8 years. Tyler Queen, who played quarterback here, has been with us. This will be his 3rd year. And then we've got Oscar Guerrero, who this will be his 1st year on the offense side of the ball, and he's going to be a great addition because he's been a D coordinator, and he's starting to help us out, as far as kind of letting us know what defenses are thinking when they start lining up. All right, but those guys do a great job for us, and that's the key. Is we've had a lot of continuity in our staff, and we've been able to meet a lot. And once we do that from the beginning, it's kind of they get what I want. All right, and we don't have to meet as much nowadays because I can just call them, text them, hey, we're doing this, doing that, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, kind of about our offense, we've averaged over the last 12 years 31 points a game. 2 years we've been over 40. And I won't go through too much of this. I want to get to what we're here to talk about today. Going into the week, things that I do as an OC that I didn't do, when I first started, but I think it helps me out. I want to win the game. I don't care if it's 7-6, 41-40. My job is to help us win the game. So what I want to do is figure out, since I'm going to have the ball, we're going to have the ball on offense. I can kind of control the tempo of the game a little bit, help the defense out, and so forth. So what I like to do is the first thing I do, and just when I'm by myself, is first of all, identify which games we want to break down. All right. Obviously, nowadays we can get a lot of film. Okay. But, we may not want to see the defense go against a true wing T team. All right. We want to see them going against teams that kind of do similar things that we do. All right. What's that defense's philosophy? Are they going to bring pressure? Are they a zone team, man team? Figure out what their D coordinator's philosophy is. All right. And then one thing I started doing that, may be different is, and a lot of young guys may not understand this, but I like to watch the entire game. I just sit there, watch the entire game, take notes. I want to see how their kicking game is. Okay. I want to know if their kicker is going to kick it in the end zone. Am I going to start at the 20 every time? How's the punter? Okay, do they really have a good punter, special teams? It's going to help me go into the game understanding field position battle. Okay. And then one thing I also like to do is try to determine their offense's pace. Does their offense huddle? Okay. I know a lot of times on huddle video, it's kind of hard to tell. All right. But if you can figure out if their offense huddles, that means in practice, their defense is not used to a fast pace. And we are a no huddle team. We do different paces. So that kind of allows us to understand what we're going against. Do they have a lot of guys playing both ways? Okay. If they have a lot of guys playing both ways, where do they play? How many? Who are they? If we've got a corner that's playing a lot on offense as well, okay, he may be getting tired that third, fourth quarter of chasing go routes. Okay. Do they have a D lineman that's also playing offensive line? All right. So there may be, if those guys are playing a lot, there may be times where we increase our tempo. Once we see that they're getting tired, or tire them out a little bit more. All right. When and where on the field do they substitute? Okay. Is it certain downs? Is it red zone? What area of the red zone? Is it 25-yard line, 20-yard line, 15? What do they consider to be their red zone, and et cetera? And how's their defense relative to ours? Okay. How's their offense? Can our defense match up with them? I've gone into games to where in past years where, we weren't as good on offense and the other team wasn't as good on offense, but the two defenses were going to be really good. And we knew it was going to be a field position battle, whichever team turned it over the least. All right. And those are the kind of things you got to gauge to understand what you're going into. I mean, we all on the offense side of the ball want to score points, throw for 500 yards, do whatever. But again, the bottom line is to win the football game.
Yep.
Do we need to use ball control tempo, or can we turn it loose? Okay. If it's a team that we feel like we're going to handle pretty easy, or be able to move the ball against, our defense is going to be able to stop their offense, we can go into the game taking advantage of that, play a little bit more loose on our side of the ball. Okay. What do they take away? All right. What are they trying to take away? What do they allow? All right. They can't stop everything. And then we do self-scout, and I kind of do it myself, but you're going to have major tendencies in your offense. Okay. You have to be conscious of that, but you also have to be you. You've got to do what you do. All right. For instance, we may in the first couple of games play with an attached tight end and never throw out of that. Well, I know defenses are going to start recognizing that. So later on in the season, as each game, you got to start, throwing the ball with an attached tight end. And those are some examples of that. Okay. And then things we all look for, putting our offensive players in the best position to make plays, flexibility to attack the defense, sideline to sideline, and that's where you got to have your system in place and be able to have answers. Okay. If they're going to stop this, why are they stopping it? And you better have an answer for it. All right. Force defense to defend all 11 players. And then that's big for us because we obviously have a great quarterback, and we're going to make people defend all 11. Mm-hmm. Find multiple ways to get playmakers the ball. Okay. Have a touch chart. I have XB right there. We had a young man just to remind me to talk about this. A few years back, we had, matter of fact, in 2012, when we went to the semifinals, he was our best playmaker. And there was one game we lost. He touched the ball 2 times. Yeah. Because I left him in the same spot the whole game. And it was early in the season. And after that, I started moving him around, getting him the ball 12, 14, 15 times a game. And we took off. Our offense took off from there. So find multiple ways to get your playmakers the ball. Each possession, try to get at least 2 first downs. Okay. we work hard on our drive starters. We feel like with our pace of play, once we get that first down, we can start playing fast. All right. And, but we're going to try to get at least 2 first downs. That way we have a chance to at least change field position. All right. And then practice efficiency, keep track of it. You're going to find yourself practicing some plays that you don't really run in a game, or you don't run enough, all right, to make it worth practicing. Okay. I catch myself all the time, running a certain play, and then look back on it and we haven't run it enough. Okay. Scripting. Okay. Once we get the, what we're going to run that week. All right. And we start scripting practice. We have zones. All right. And different days of the week, we do different things. Okay. But one thing we work on is coming out. We put the ball on the -1 yard line. All right. And we have a series of 4 to 5 plays, and those are going to stay the same until we run it and teams get it on film. All right. Because that doesn't happen a whole lot. All right. So when we go out there, our guys pretty much know what plays we're going to run. All right. And now obviously in the open field, you got your system plays and the things you're going to run. And then obviously the red zone, goal line, and then your landmark plays. You got your special plays, trick plays that you're going to run on certain spots on the field, certain hash, once you get across the 50-yard line, so forth. All right. And then players, who and when, certain two-way players. We may have some DBs that are really athletic guys and are great with the ball in their hand. All right. So I'm going to find 2, 3, 4 times a game I can get them on the offensive side of the ball and try to get the ball in their hand and let them make a play. Okay. Situations, do a lot with drive starters, get the chains moving. We focus a lot on 1st and 3rd downs. Okay. But also, how do they treat 2nd 10? Do they treat that as like a 1st down, 1st and 10, or they treat it as almost 3rd and long? All right. What are they going to do when they get you in that situation? And then we're going to try to get at least obviously 5 yards to get into a 3rd and medium, 3rd and short type deal there. All right. And then plays, you got to be comfortable in what you're going to run. You got to find a little rhythm to it. You got to find plays that are going to complement each other. And then I got 90 game there because we try to help our offensive line. If we know we're going against a really good defensive line that's very athletic, and it's got good pass rushers, we're probably not going to throw a whole lot of 90 game deep balls early in the game. Okay. We're going to let our tempo of play, tire those guys out. Okay. And then second half, that's when our guys will come off the field and they say, all right, coach, we think we got them. They're tired, and we feel like that's when we can put the pressure on people and start pushing the ball down the field. I always have to remind myself about, again, changing tempo up, freeze reminder and so forth. All right. I tell my coaches, if I haven't done that in a while, remind me. Okay. And then obviously trick plays, landmark plays, we go in each game with probably 3 to 5 plays. All right. And we usually practice those, on Wednesday and make sure we're good with those. All right. And then you kind of get into strategy. Okay. When we get together as a staff, who are we playing? Are they better than we are? Worse? Okay. What are we going to have to do to win the game? All right. Again, that's the bottom line. What are we're going to have to do on the offensive side of the ball to help our team win the game? OL versus DL, where do we stand? Again, taking care of your offensive linemen. All right. Try to help them out as far as pass rush and so forth. Okay. I know we won the region a few years ago, and we weren't very good on the offensive line, and the team we were playing was very good on the defensive line. And like I said, we probably didn't throw the ball 5 yards past the line of scrimmage until second half, when we got them tired and our guys knew they had the advantage then. But you got to be in shape in order to do that. how can we be different from what they have seen, okay, on film, or you know, or gone against with teams in the past. All right, tackle pull, unbalanced, etc. You know, what can we do that they hadn't seen yet? Obviously, formation alignment, fronts, coverages, blitzes, down and distance. You know, when do they like to blitz? All right, do they change their front? All right, what's going to trigger that that we know when they're going to blitz? All right, and that's why we do a pup period every day, pass under pressure every day. Okay, that's kind of a non-negotiable with me. We're going to find time every day to do a pup period. How do they adjust to motion? Empty formation. I know you get a lot of teams that maybe pressure teams man to man, but for some reason, as soon as you go empty, they back off a little bit. All right, so that's one thing we tried to study as well. All right. Obviously, you know, you're going to chart up the D-line and linebacker games and stunts. We try to, you know, watch a lot on and pick up outside linebacker and safety alignments. Okay, is that safety getting off the hash? Is he staying inside the hash? You know, outside linebackers, their alignment according to where, you know, they are with the defensive end and so forth. All right, because we tag a lot with our run game and also our pass protection, so that we're always looking at that. Okay, obviously we're going to find matchup problems. Okay, try to get their best on their worst. All right, where can we run the ball? You know, find our 3 to 4 best runs. All right, who we're going to attack. All right, and who we need to be kind of wary of on their defensive line. Okay, screen game. Do we have to make any blocking adjustments based on how they're going to play formations and so forth? All right, but we really believe in the screen game. All right, and then one thing I like to do early in a game is give them one formation or personnel grouping that they may have not seen yet. Okay, because that means when they go off the field, you know, they're meeting and they're going over what they just saw, because that's something new to them. Okay, and then when you come back out, you can kind of get into what you normally do. All right. And then we're always, you know, offensively, I just preach team first mentality. Okay. And one thing on Friday, you know, our last thing I say when we do a walkthrough on Friday is don't put the defense in a bad situation because of our mistake. Okay. We want to be able to, on the offensive side of the ball, we feel like we can dictate the game, we can dictate field position and so forth. And that's what we try to do. All right. But that's kind of a rundown of, you know, how we game plan going into it. Obviously, there's a lot more involved than that, you know, as far as, you know, time and preparation and so forth. But that's kind of the gist of it. And like I said, you know, you don't get that, you know, first or second year being a coordinator. It's kind of, you're going to find things going through that you're going to like, you're going to dislike. I know I tried to do all the nice computer breakdowns and all that stuff, and I've got some of my young coaches that are better at it than me. But again, I still kind of do it the old school way and write everything out on legal pad and kind of go from there.
Well, I think what I heard, Coach, was a few things always come to mind on this topic, and one was you got to be you. So to answer that part, you have to be you. So it doesn't do you any good to spend hours in Excel or on Huddle or something if you're not even going to use that stuff, or it's not applicable to you. Correct. If you're really good at it and you use it and to help you win, have at it. Right. So one, I think sometimes coaches make mistakes trying to be somebody else, trying to not be them. Be yourself on what are your assets for what you can see with the film. But I do think that because more and more teams are comparable in their scheme, I don't mean to insult anybody, but there's more and more teams that are running the same principles within their offense, probably than there have ever been. Would you say, at least since in the last 20, 30 years anyway? And that's one thing we preach to our kids every day. You know, beginning of the summer, when I started doing install, I told them, I said, look, most teams in the spread, they're going to run the same concept. So it really comes down to people. The teams that are going to win it are the teams that do the little things right. And they do the little things over and over and over, and they don't get bored with it. And those are the teams that are going to be successful. Yeah, it's become more and more important to analyze the personnel. I mean,
Right.
obviously your personnel, you got to
Yeah.
get your kids in the right position, and your kids have to execute and play hard.
Right.
No doubt. No doubt.
Right.
But I think for the topic we're talking about right now, it's more important than it was even 5 or 10 or 15 years ago to pick up one thing on the weekend or one thing through scouting with personnel, because it wins the game. Where you're an I and the team hadn't seen an I team in 4 weeks, you might get a couple good drives on them just because they don't know how to play you. But now you're seeing, I mean, people are seeing generally the same stuff 7, 8, 9 times a year. So it's really going to come down to how well you execute. But for this topic of scouting and game planning, it's going to come down to, can you figure out which DN's better than the other one?
Exactly.
Which inside backer's better than the other one? What are some things to look for? The longer I coach, the more I was worried about that. I spent way more of my time worrying about, especially at outside backer, at corner, maybe at DN. There's some spots where I needed to know if one of them was way better than the other one. That's really what I needed to know.
Well, I spend a lot of my time obviously watching even, outside backers, safeties, all right, because what we do, they really dictate what we're going to run.
Right.
If they've got, if in our run game, if they got a really stout lineman, with the things we do, we may not block him. We're just going to read it.
Right.
But I spend a lot of my time, again, with watching outside backers, safeties, alignments, where their eyes at, who are they looking at? And then you try to just run everything off of them.
That you already have in, by the way. Right. I'm not advocating to make up plays.
We're not installing anything.
Yeah. It's just that I looked at the slides. If I was coaching right now, I would have rewound this or started it over, and I would have paused at the slides. I would have listened to what you were saying, but I wanted to see every question, and I want to see which one of those is something that applies to me. And I would make a database of every question I could think of. All your questions, all some other questions I got, the ones I thought of. And it was just almost like you just pull from them weekly and say, how can one of these questions, just one of them, be a big deal this week? And it may not be a big deal next week, and it may not be a big deal the rest of the year, but this week it's going to matter. Do they not know how to play tempo? For example, you used that as an example one time. Can you once a year win the game or execute on offense better because a team doesn't know how to play tempo? That's not going to happen week in, week out. And you might not need to make a deal about it week in, week out. But if you pick the right week to make a deal about it, that's your way to look different, because it's going to be inside and outside zone and throwing the ball in RPOs and power and counter. Like, it's going to be that.
Right.
So can you figure out the one little niche? I ain't not trying to make your point, but I thought that that's
you're right,
what I heard from what you were talking.
We do. And there are certain teams that we do have, different tempos, especially, if they're, substituting at specific points. If we know we can catch them off guard, we have a lot of, just one word plays that everybody knows what's going on, and we're jumping up and we're running it and so forth. And we might have, speaking that, have we won games by doing that before? Yes, we have. Yeah.
And you got to know what game to go on. It's, I guess, what I'm saying. Know what that's what the topic at hand is. I mean, we could talk for hours about offense, but for the game planning topic, can you come up with something unique for your team that's not putting in a new play?
And that's what I like to ask my guys when we walk in on Sunday. Is first thing I ask them, what do you see? What do we got to do to win the game? Is it something we're not doing? Is it something, are we good? Do we not have to add anything? Can we beat them by being us and doing what we do? And, and because I want to get their feedback as well. And, going into it, the bottom line is when we walk in, first thing I ask, all right, what do we got to do to win the football game?
Yes, sir. And that's what it comes down to. Well, Coach, I talked to you forever about this. This is a lot better than me doing that HR work I do during the day.
Oh, I bet.
It's not near as exciting as talking about this, but I appreciate having you on. I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, but I know you guys got a great team, and I'm excited about following you this year and seeing what all you can do. Y'all do a good job offensively, especially, man. You guys do an awesome job. I get to see you 2 or 3 times a year on TV. Usually I work in Atlanta radio station on Fridays, and
Right.
we got all the games up, and you guys inevitably are on 2 or 3 times. So I get to see you a little bit, and I'm really excited to see what you guys can do this year. And I hope I get to talk to you in December sometime about a great season you had.
Well, anytime, like I said, I appreciate you having me. Like I said, I appreciate what you do for high school football. And again, I'm open anytime anybody wants to talk ball. I'm always ready.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you, Coach. Take care. We'll
Okay.
see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.